All right, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Wallace Way Show, where we bring intellectually curious people here. Curiosity feeds the brain. So in 2021, we're going to definitely get it going and take it up a notch more. Thank you, and please subscribe to all our shows. We got a great feed. We talk about sports, politics, social issues, stress, health issues. We cover it all. And I'm blessed and honored today to welcome this powerful, good brother, Mr. Barrington Martin II. This brother is an educator. He's a writer, and he also is the political candidate for the 5th District of Georgia, and he ran against the legendary John Lewis. So this brother's got it going on. He does this thing. I found him on Twitter. I forgot whose feed I found him on, but his content and his feed is just it's fire. It's dope, and it's
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Big time fan, and it's interesting. It's different. So, Mr. Barrington Martin II, please welcome here to the show. How are we doing today, good brother?
Oh man, I'm so blessed, man, and I'm so appreciative and thankful that you have me on your show. So that I have to get out that way because parents always taught me to show appreciation, gratitude when it's due, and it's definitely due. And I'm so happy that we could be talking today.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. No, like I said, I found your feed. I forgot. Either through Schoon TV or
it might have been through Schoon. It might have been through Schoon.
Yeah. And he's another good brother. Like I think Twitter gets a bad rap before we get into your your whole flow and everything.
Right.
Twitter gets a bad rap, and don't get me wrong, some of it's corny, and a lot of social media is corny.
1,000%.
I think you actually can learn and get different perspectives and views that you might not even see. And if you're intellectually curious, you actually really want to know what other people are thinking and how they kind of formulate those thoughts. What's your take on social media?
I think that social media could be a great thing, as you said, but I think that honestly, social media has more negatives than positives, in my opinion, because I think that ultimately we don't get. It's almost like reading an article on the internet rather than reading the book or watching a movie. That's what I wanted to say. Watch a movie, for example, like when you read the book, you get all the small, intricate details that you don't necessarily get in a movie because a movie has a set time and it's very, very small. So translating back to social media, I think social media is a great tool. I honestly feel like we don't use it the way we need to use it. I think that if we are so connected to people more than we've ever been, and I think it's now the time to galvanize or just to use social media to understand people better. I personally feel like social media has been such a negative on society. It basically amplifies the things that lack substance. Mm-hmm. And so every now and then you'll run across specific accounts or specific people who feed you the way you want to be fed. But at the end of the day, as with anything else, it really depends on what you're looking for, because it has legitimately everything that you're looking for as far as whatever your interests are. So it just depends. But my personal take, man, like I think social media has been like super toxic on our society.
No, 1,000%. And like you said, it all comes down to what you're looking for. Like being a sports fan, it's really tough for me now to sit down and watch a 2-hour NBA game. It just really is. And I'm a huge NBA fan. I just can't watch a full game. So I'll go to Twitter, okay, this is happening, okay. This happening. The highlights is here. Oh, Zion scored 34. Bet I can wake up and see he scored 34 without watching 2 hours.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know if that's the way it's going, but I appreciate social media for what it is. And still take into effect, a lot of it is corny and toxic, and you got to kind of
it's so toxic, man. It's so toxic. And to go on your point, and not to derail what you're saying, but I mean the NBA is not the same anymore. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest.
So like, we're going to turn this into a sports thing.
Okay. Like the NBA, like because I've been like wanting to vent about this for so long now, because I play ball. I played a year of college ball my freshman year before I decided that I didn't want to play anymore. Okay. And the game has not progressed the way one would think. Like, I'm tired of watching professionals, the best in the world, getting blown out by 20 points. I'm tired of that. Like, that should not happen. Like, when I check scores of games, and I'm seeing that, like, these are professionals getting blown out by 30 points. What is that about? What is that about? Why is Brook Lopez, for example, one of the best post players that we've seen in the last 5 years? Why is he shooting threes now? Why?
Okay. A part of it is like I was just talking about a buddy this on Twitter before. The 3-point era is just a different time. Like Brook Lopez, you're right. He could really dominate in the post, but he's figured out how to extend his career now, being a 35% 3-point shooter. He's going to play extra 5 years rather than he probably even deserved to play. And it's just, I mean, it's different from our era. I don't know how old you are, but if you grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, it was definitely a more go to the rim type.
The game was, every game was lit back in the day. It was competitive. It was none of that jersey swapping after the game. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Are we becoming the old guys? Are we becoming the stay off the lawn type?
Like, what? No, I don't. You know, I take a step back, and I think that sometimes we are. But then when I go to the gym and I hoop against young cats, and I'm like dominating, and the thing about it is, you're more athletically gifted than me at this point because you're young. But the fact that you don't see the game in between the eyes, you don't have an IQ, that hurts my heart, man. Because it's just like, oh my gosh, like you like you guys are just totally. And I know I'm sounding like, I know I sound old when I say this. You guys are totally just like watering down the art and the essence of the game. And
ultimately, like you said, it's just tough for me to watch a full game because
you're
right. It doesn't feel like it's must-see TV. It just feels like, oh, okay, it's the Wizards versus the Clippers tonight. Oh, okay. All right, it's Tuesday. I guess I'll watch for a half. I'm going to bed. So.
Correct.
Anyway, let's get back to your glorious resume of stuff. So let's talk about the run for the 5th District of Georgia versus the legendary and honorable John Lewis. Tell me more about that. What led you to run, and how did that all come about?
Okay, so I am a Atlanta native. I've been in Atlanta all my life except for 1 year. And I've seen the changes that the city has gone through, and I've seen basically a lot of things that hasn't changed in the city. And so when I felt that ultimately this was the foundation of my run, I felt that we're going through a political renaissance right now where the people deserve more from the government, and really our elected officials haven't been necessarily doing the job, but more so than anything, we have to remove these outdated, archaic ways that we've been looking at government or the way the government's been treating us. And we have to move towards the future because there are a lot of changes on the horizon that are going to happen that a lot of people aren't prepared for. So I felt that it was just time for someone of my stature, for someone of my youth to, take the reins from, the late, great legend himself, because I felt at the time, why is John Lewis still having to be John Lewis at 80 years old?
Right.
Like, why is John Lewis still fighting fights that, that he shouldn't really be fighting anymore? But at the same time, why is he still fighting the same fight? Fighting all his life? Like at some point in time, somebody has to take the initiative, and that's what I did. And to be very frank and very honest with you, a lot of age-old politicians who've been in the game longer than me told me that they didn't even have the guts to do what I did. So you have to ask the questions. If you know that problems are persisting in your community or your districts specifically, why aren't you, putting your tenure, your job title on the line, your experience on the line to do what needs to be done? And that's why I said, hey, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to get a team together, and I'm going to take on a Titan. And I learned so much from it.
Right. No, I was dope when I found it and I saw that you ran. I was like, that's powerful stuff. That takes a lot of gravity and a lot of stones to do that.
Absolutely.
You are definitely getting into a whole structure in the political field, which is it's similar to a war zone. The political field.
It's dirty. It's so dirty, man.
It's a dirty game, and so I wanted to touch on a couple lines of your run. So one of your big things, you talked about term limits. What is your take on that?
I think it's important. I think that there shouldn't be career politicians. I think that we live in an ever-changing society where things change rapidly. For example, one of my best friends in my life is my grandmother. My grandmother was born in 1930. Okay. My grandmother knew a time where phones, cell phones, or the fact that we're talking to each other right now didn't exist. Imagine if my grandmother, you have to be 25 years old to be in Congress. Imagine if my grandmother was in Congress in 1955 all the way up to now. Right. At some point in time, even though she's still very, very witty, very, very intelligent woman at her age, she still has to be able to grasp concepts and grasp just the automatic feeling of the society that she's governing. So, for example, when you look at the stats and you see that the median age of America is probably around people like 37, 38 years old,
Right.
but the average age of Congress is like double that.
Yeah,
So
like 60, right? Or something.
yeah, like 60, like in this, the Senate is like 70. So you have these basically senior citizens governing over a populace that is half their age. When like I don't know if you've seen the Senate hearings when technology with
the Facebook
with Zuckerberg and the guy from Twitter, the CEO from Twitter. Yeah, Jack Dorsey, yes. And they couldn't even conceptualize some of the technology that is being used on a day-to-day basis. And so this is why it's important for us to have term limits, because in my mind, it's going to keep our democracy fresh. It's going to always keep in fresh minds, fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, rather than continue doing things the old-fashioned way, and while people get left behind in those processes.
No, 1,000% agree. It's and one of the biggest ones that really kind of irks me is a lifetime appointment for the Supreme Court. Like,
oh man, absolutely.
Like, what did you a lifetime? I mean, and I get it why they started it, because back when they created the law, it was people were dying at 45, 50 due to like smallpox and all that stuff. But that was 100 years ago. Like
and that's power. That's power too. And that's the thing, like people that's like what I want people to understand is that we have to take a different perspective to a lot of the things that we've learned or the things that we've been accustomed to. Like, how is it that, a president can serve 2 terms, 8 years, a congressman or woman or a senator can serve however long they want. But the Supreme Court, once you get there, it is your seat till you die.
It's insane. Like, you literally just like wake up. Like, I've heard stories they're talking about like Clarence Thomas is like asleep during the the law readings. Like, he's like, whatever. Are you gonna fire me? Like, what are you gonna do?
You can't fire me. Like, you can't fire me. It would take like a drastic incident for something to happen. And all they do is go to the Supreme Court and go home. That is it. Maybe have speaking appearances here and there, and that's it.
No doubt. So another thing you was kind of a big sticking point to your campaign was Second Amendment rights, which of course is the right to bear arms. What's your take on that?
I think Second Amendment rights is very important, mainly because you have a right to protect yourselves. But as Black Americans, looking from a historical standpoint, seeing that the government has always been tyrannous, and seeing that in a lot of cases, in a lot of situations, we have never been afforded to have agency over our own bodies. And so I think that it's always important for the people of a nation to be able to protect themselves, because if we've seen historically throughout time and with other tyrannical regimes, as soon as you take away the people's right to defend themselves, that's when governments come in and do a lot of dreadful things to their people.
No, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. And so you said one of your political, I guess, aspiration or heroes was JFK.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unpack that for me. I mean, we all know about JFK, but that was so long ago. Our generation might not even fully get like what was he all about and his power and all that stuff.
Right. So JFK, in my mind, was like one of our last presidents that was really for the people. I see him as like I would say a very fundamentalist populist, meaning that he looked out for the average man and the average woman first and foremost before big government. And outside of the political side, JFK just had swag as a president. Like, before we had President Obama, JFK was the first swaggy president that has ever like existed within the Oval. And you just combine just the class and the allure and the aura he brought to the office, and a lot of his speeches, a lot of the ideals and policies that he wanted to implement before he passed, or before he got assassinated, excuse me. I think that he all around was, in my mind, like a great foundation for me to just understand what galvanizes the people, for one, and what makes sense as far as in political ideology as well.
Yeah, no, he was. He's speaking of like probably the last 50, 60 years. I would say he's probably number one as far as popularity goes. As
Yeah.
far as presidents,
Besides President Obama, though.
besides Obama. Well,
Yeah.
Clinton too. Clinton's up there.
Yeah, but then he got stained. He got stained on his record.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah.
No, he was. I was actually watching a doc last night on HBO Max about Jimmy Carter and rock and roll, and he's very slept on as a president. Like
no, he is. He is. Jimmy Carter.
He's from your hood,
Georgia.
right?
He's from Georgia. Jimmy Carter was the first president to put solar panels on the White House, and it's never talked about. It's never talked about. Like we always like have all of these, initiatives doing it with the environment.
Right.
Rather, and he did it first, but no one ever talks about it.
No, he's one of those guys. It's going to be interesting to see how history plays him out. Because even now, you talk about Reagan, you talk about Clinton, you talk about Obama, of course, you talk about Trump, but like Carter just never. He's sort of like a lost figure.
Yeah,
but it's an interesting doc. So, all right, let's move on past that, past your political run. What exactly is a Black conservative? I've been reading a lot on Twitter and seeing a lot, and it's interesting because I think society puts, especially Black males, as sort of one-trick ponies. We all kind of believe in the same thing. We all got to act the same way. Hell, they all think we look the same. So, like, what exactly is a Black conservative in your flow?
Okay, so before I answer this, I'm gonna make a declarative statement clearing something up, because a lot of people read my takes on Twitter and they automatically like to put me in a box, and that's the thing that I hate. I don't consider myself anything. The reason I say this is because I ran as a Democrat because it made sense to run as a Democrat, but ultimately my political leanings have always been independent. I've never given my allegiance to a political party or political ideology because I believe in common sense politics. So what do I mean by common sense politics? Common sense politics is things that work for the common person or the average person, like making it a broad, looking at politics within a broad scope. Like, I feel like the Democrats have a lot of ideologies that make sense, but they also have some that make no sense. Just like I feel like the Republicans have a lot of ideologies that make sense, but they also have a lot of things that make zero sense. Why don't we get together and bring the best of everyone's beliefs together and just do away with everything else? That's the type of person that I am. I hate to be boxed in. With that being stated, I feel like Black conservatism looks at or places heavy emphasis on tradition, as far as looking or placating a lot of ideologies within, or attaching it to Christian values, family values, working hard, lifting yourselves up by your own bootstraps, doing whatever it takes, overcoming the obstacles, but also adhering to a lot of conservative values as far as fiscal conservatism, like allowing the coming man and the coming woman to address their own issues. The government, get out of my business. I can handle myself. I don't need I don't need government interference in everything that I do. I feel like that's what Black conservatism would encompass, because in my personal walk, as far as my understanding, especially in the Deep South, especially in Atlanta, I feel that it has been forgotten throughout history that a lot of Black people are culturally conservative in a lot of ways.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but 1,000%. And to me, Black African Americans are the most conservative people on the planet. A, because we had to be.
Yes.
B, it just fits our flow. We're extremely conservative, and it's just weird. It's also the media portraying.
1,000%.
So it's 1,000%. A lot of layers to it. It's a lot of layers to it, but it's just fascinating to watch.
Yes.
And with Twitter now, like I said, social media, everyone has a voice, so everyone can kind of throw what they think and this and that. So it's ridiculous. Like, it's really, I have to say this because it's important to say, I really detest how powerful the media has gotten over the last 2 decades, especially of our lifetimes, because now
is this narrative is being posited that conservatism is directly linked to white supremacy or directly linked to racism. And I get it, but a lot of people fail to mention, and I say this on Twitter before, the soft bigotry of liberalism. The fact that a lot of times the left posits this narrative that pretty much like blacks or other minorities aren't able to get ahead without help, or they're incapable of overcoming whatever obstacles in their way. And that's not true at all. Like if you look throughout history, like a lot of the times when racism was at its worst, blacks in mass were at their best. But yet throughout the course of history, something has happened, and now we're in this time where we're like almost worse off than we were like in the 20s, like at the precipice of racism. And it's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
And the numbers are, some of the numbers, especially like financially, home ownership, educationally, are literally going backwards. It doesn't make logical sense how
it doesn't make sense. Like
going back.
Like people will say, oh, well, you know, because of slavery, the family is where it is, or because of slavery, education is where it is, wealth is where it is. I'm like, wait a minute, hey, wait. Do you guys not understand that literally 100 years after slavery was the civil rights movement? Like, do you not understand that like 100 years after slavery, the civil rights movement happened, meaning that a lot of these like black minds got together and were able to further political thought in ways that we have never seen in America before. So it makes no sense for us to continue this narrative that the reason we're in the problems, or the reason we have the problems we have now because of slavery, when like our history says otherwise. Those narratives don't make sense, and that's why I think it's important for us to start having these conversations.
Yeah, we have to, and they're tough conversations. I get it, but it has to be done at some point. But anyway,
at some point,
let's you know, I know we're pressed for time here, so I'm gonna hit on a couple of topics. I want you to just first couple things that come to your mind, and then just spit it out, right?
Okay.
All right. 2020 election.
2020 election. I'm gonna say I feel like everything's not what it seems.
Okay.
Everything's not what it seems. That's as simple as I can put it.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about, speaking of 2020 elections, the 3,000-pound elephant in the room, pink elephant, Mr. Trump.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Definitely not a racist. The reason I say that is because no racist, in my mind, no racist white man would donate so much money to Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition in the past, and no racist white man definitely wouldn't donate to the political campaign or put a lot of their money inside a black man's political campaign, i.e. Jesse Jackson. Again, people don't do their history or do their research to understand this. He's a New York businessman, so we already know that he could be an a-hole. It's okay. I totally understand that. But I think that President Trump allowed us to see the how corrupt government is on both sides. I'll say that.
Okay. All right. Sort of the flip side of Trump, I guess, Cuomo. Thoughts on him?
Oh man. The media boosted him up to be something that he wasn't, and it's obvious because we've seen all of these allegations coming out, as well as the fact that he didn't handle his business in regards to the pandemic, and it's all coming to light right now.
Right.
And I'm happy to see it, because the people need to know the truth of everything that goes on with elected officials.
There you go. All right. Best rapper out of Atlanta.
Best rapper out of Atlanta ever or right now?
Both. Okay,
so I'm gonna give three names. I'm gonna say three stacks.
Okay.
3 Stacks is all time. Just non-negotiable. Like, it's non-negotiable. Right now, an Atlanta rapper I like right now is probably Young Thug.
Okay.
Which is crazy to me, but like Thug is a melodic genius to me, man.
He Well, even when he first came out and he was running with Birdman, remember it was him and Rich Homie Quan and Birdman.
Yes,
I was like,
yes,
he's something different up with this guy. Something
yes.
different. His melodies, he's got a personality. His flow is just different. All right,
Yes.
who's your number 3?
Honorable mention is Tip, but also my number 3 is Brandon Rossi. I know you probably. Brandon, please look him up. He signed to Rock Nation. He produced the last thing he did. He produced Usher's latest single, but he also has music of his own. Phenomenal. Not even playing. Brandon Rossi.
R-O-S-S-I?
R-O-S-S-I. I promise you. I promise you will love everything.
Okay. All right. Let's see. A couple more here. 28-3. What does that mean to you?
Let's skip that. Why would you like? I can't. I can't. I agreed to do this, and you want to bring this up? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Dude, whenever that Super Bowl comes on, I just cannot stop watching it. It's to me, it's my favorite Super Bowl. And even though my team has won 3 Super Bowls in the past, that one just sticks out to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna come clean. Like I don't really have favorite teams except in baseball. But like the fact that the home team was there, you already know how that feeling was. When I tell you that Monday when we all had to go back to work, you would have thought that you would have thought that everybody had someone in their family that died, how somber it was. I'm talking about like for that whole week. Like, man, that was depressing.
It's one of the and everybody, we're talking about the Atlanta versus New England Super Bowl when they was up 28-3 in the third quarter, not even halftime.
Not even halftime.
Like mid-third quarter. And they lose. And I just don't know if Atlanta the Falcons have ever recovered from that. Like I just don't.
They haven't. And then that same year, UGA got beat.
Oh,
by Alabama.
Yeah.
Like how you give up the end zone on a third and long, bro. I'm not gonna get into it. Those 2 months, man, was probably the most traumatic events ever in Atlanta history, sports history. I'm not playing.
I can imagine, bro. It's insane. It's insane. All right, it's NBA All-Star game, and it's coming up this week. What are your thoughts on that? And should they be playing it? And are you going to go out and party?
I'm not going to go out and party because I'm not a partier. I have not been partying since the pandemic. I think that if they are playing games, then why not? Because personally, I feel like if the pandemic is as serious as everyone says it is, then why are our teams or why are sports leagues competing if that's the case? I never understood the fact that you have 10 men playing up against each other, running, sweating on each other, but then they go to the bench and put masks on. That's like what sense does that make? But I mean, the All-Star game is like one of my personal favorite All-Star games, so I'm going to watch it. Sure. They haven't said anything about this. I don't even know who's competing in the slam dunk contest. They haven't said anything about that.
We're going to do it at halftime, right?
Is that what it is?
Like the 3-point and the slam dunk at halftime of the All-Star game to try to compress it all into like one day, one game, rather than doing it over like Saturday and Sunday.
I guess why not just have all the contestants like there before the game in an empty gym? Like it would be entertaining in an empty gym, I feel like, but whatever. Like I don't know who's the marketing director of all of these events, but they are legitimately dropping the ball. But whatever, I'll be entertained.
Right. No doubt, man. Awesome. Listen, Mr. Martin, this was a pleasure, man. And we
yes.
At the Wallace Way, we enjoy energy and great conversations, and we try to learn and keep it curious, but we also try to, have fun and enjoy ourselves. So thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate this. You want to plug anything you're doing right now on the website, the Twitter handlers, go for it.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is @_Barrington. My name, if you can see it on the screen, that's @_ Barrington II. I have a couple of crazy new projects coming up in the summertime that I cannot wait to produce or to showcase to the world. Working on 2 nonprofits. One is involving community advocacy work, dealing with public safety, and the other one is my baby called Design Science Labs, dealing with the children, because I'm an educator, of course, and we're going to be promoting STEM, and basically computer work, so they can be ready for the job market in the future.
Yeah, man, I love it, bro. Please come back on, and
I
we'd love to hear
will.
more about all this. And when all this clears up, and then hopefully right now it feels like it's clearing up, we can definitely link up and head
Absolutely.
up to the conference, because I know ATL is always popping and we love it. So thank you so much, brother.
My brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Awesome, everybody. Peace.